Jorma Vuoksenmaa, today in this video we will cover La Liga teams, who to bet and who to lay. But as usual, we are also discussing some very current betting world topics, and now it's obviously the leagues that have come back from the coronavirus break. What have we learned from the first matches in, say, Bundesliga?
Well, we learned that Schalke 04 is not recovered from their crises. I'm self-ironic, but as you might have seen in our Bundesliga video, I took Schalke as an example of a crisis team which might have gained from the corona break and found their form. And I didn't know if to laugh or cry when I gave the free tip. Schalke with handicap against Borussia Dortmund, and you remember Dortmund won 4-0. But otherwise, our ideas and predictions and theories about the effect of corona break have turned out to be very good and accurate in the Bundesliga. Namely, first I claimed that in normal circumstances, or normally, the crisis teams would have gained from the break, and that actually has happened with teams like Frankfurt or Werder Bremen, even Fortuna Düsseldorf, who have been good bets in Asian handicaps after the break. Secondly, we claimed that the home advantage has vanished almost completely, and that actually has happened in the German Bundesliga. I take Bundesliga as a comparison now, even if we talk today about Spanish La Liga, because it's so important to learn from the experiences what has happened then the football has returned from a long surprising break to be played in front of empty stands. And Belarus League or Zweiten Liga in Germany or Korean League, I prefer taking slightly smaller sample size, i.e. only Bundesliga, to learn something instead of having a larger sample, but a sample which is probably not that predictive, because Belarus football and Zweiten Liga and South Korea is probably not that much comparable with Premier Serie A and La Liga as the Bundesliga is, right? So that's an explanation why I take the findings from Bundesliga in order to help you and me in the Spanish La Liga betting. So I claimed that the home advantage is mostly due to the pressure home supporters put to the referee, and I claimed that the home advantage almost entirely disappears when teams are playing to the empty stands. And in the German Bundesliga, after these couple of rounds, very small statistical sample, but still, in these couple of rounds, the away teams have outscored the home teams. That has definitely been a coincidence, and the fixtures might have been slightly with stronger away teams. But now another day I took a look on the expected goals from these games, and even expected goals there show that the away teams should have won more matches than they actually did. So we have, I think, even with a small sample, statistically not sure, but meaningful evidence that my idea of much smaller home advantage that the market thinks has been true. Then I had a look on the betting market, what the betting market expected from these games, and there I had some look even on those smaller leagues. So it seems to be the case that in the very first matches after return of football, market didn't understand how small is the home advantage. But then with the good success of the away teams, again market reacted very fastly. So the strategy to bet selected all the away teams made us money with Asian handicaps in the German Bundesliga, but the edge is going downwards. That being said, you might be better off by giving some extra weight on the away teams, even in the Spanish league, when it starts. And then two minor points. The option of substituting 5 players has strengthened the big teams, the big favorites, because they have larger squads and more players with big motivation to impress the coach, the fans and the media. So the favorites are stronger, even if I just claimed that away sides are stronger, which means away favorites are much stronger. Home dogs are not that good investments as in history and as universally in sports betting. And on the other hand, the slight home favorites are vulnerable, but strong home favorites are in relation not that vulnerable, because the strong favorites gain from the larger and stronger squads. And that explains why we have done better in Asian handicaps compared to the Colossus bets Big 8s, because there Leipzig, Bayern, Dortmund and Leverkusen has been very successful. So the winning lines in the Big 8 has been by far too easy, which is bad for value-seeking Big 8. Okay, that introduction was mainly what happened in the German Bundesliga, but it's very important to take as a base of a betting strategy even in Spain, when Spain restarts now.
Okay, so let's move on to the Spain.
Yeah.
Maybe we should start with the big favorites. Everybody, of course, wants to know who's better, Real Madrid or Barcelona.
Yeah, that's good. After all, betting is a function of sports, and I'm a sportsman, and we should never forget the beauty of football and the sports aspect, even if we talk about betting, and I want to give you good advice in sports betting. When it comes to sports, of course, I can't give you that big edge as I can give you in the betting, but so in sports you might know much more than I do, but I give my opinion. Sports is a very nice topic to discuss, regardless of how little I understand about it. When it comes to performances, actually Real Madrid has been, according to our metrics, been slightly better than Barcelona. And secondly, as I have repeated in various occasions, I count more on the shots, expected goals, passes on the key areas and good special situations than most of the fans and most of the media. Possession is almost nothing for me. And that means that how I weigh my metrics, I see Real Madrid relatively stronger compared to most of the people. I'm fully aware that I think Barcelona might lead 2 or 3 points, and that is surprisingly a lot in the championship contest, because obviously these teams don't lose that many points. But I think Real Madrid has a shot of passing Barcelona, even if Barcelona of course would be my betting favorite to win. I must add that Atletico Madrid is of course worse than those two teams, but Atletico might be the team with best value, because they are not rated by betting market and media as high as those top two, and they are almost as good. I mean, relatively as good. We get much better prices for Atletico Madrid, and because we, especially in the Colossus Bets pools, we can't take all the underdogs, because then the combinations get so difficult that even if we get the whole pool, we don't win enough in order to get a decent return for the risk. So we need those good bankers, and Atletico could be in many cases better kind of a value banker compared with those two teams, Barcelona and Real Madrid. So that is what I can say about that La Liga championship battle.
Yes, so Atletico Madrid, they have been slightly unlucky this season as well. Yeah. Could there be some other teams that have become a good value bets now after the break?
Well, absolutely, about those better ones. Villarreal. They have played very nicely. Even if you watch those games, they look good. And as I say in all forms of betting, if the figures and intuition clap hands, they go well together, I mean, then you in most cases have a good betting investment. So Villarreal look good, they have good numbers. I don't remember these things exactly, but I think they did badly before the Corona break. Probably they were just unlucky, but if there is something wrong with the team or injuries, I don't lie you by saying that I remember all the lineups, nor that I can compare exactly the value of a missing player. But I think Villarreal had some problems just before the break, and in most of these cases, even if it was for that something was going on behind the scenes, or if there were some injured players or players who played half fit, that means that Villarreal might improve even more after the break. They might gain from this break, and because they were underperforming, they were unlucky, that means that Villarreal is of those good teams absolutely a team which might be underestimated, even if they are quite respected.
Yes. How about some other teams?
Yeah, Leganes, absolutely. It has been kind of a sad story all the season. They should be almost a mid-table team, but they were unlucky. Then they have some injury problems, and unfortunately some of them can't be repaired. So Leganes will not be a mid-division team, but they might just fight and win the fight against relegation. They are pretty kind of humble team. They defend very disciplined. they are pretty good in special situations. They don't try to do something fancy, and that profile is pretty good when you fight against the relegation. And Leganes is they have been good value already January, February, March, and unfortunately that value has not been kind of realized, and I guess regardless of a couple of nice wins I might have lost money with Leganes, but I keep betting and I think we get even better value now. An important point to remember, now when teams are playing for empty stands, the motivation factor towards the end of the season gets more and more important, because in normal seasons the home teams play for their fans and they don't just just stop playing because they are placed in the middle of the table. But now we have even much less motivation, because they are not playing to their fans. And now the teams which play away and fight against relegation or towards the Europa League placing or the winning the championship, they play hard. And what that has to do with Leganes or Espanyol, which is another team which has underperformed and fighting with relegation, and which is good value bet. Leganes and Espanyol gain even more if they play away against the teams which do not have that much to play for. I mentioned as another value bet Espanyol, and that might be Leganes and Espanyol might be of those bottom ones, the teams I go with handicaps. Here with these academical sessions for you, we touch kind of general lessons of sports betting, not only the accurate comments and learnings for the current topics. And one very big thing to understand is that you get best value for the bad teams or the underdogs with Asian handicaps, because quite often those teams just fight hard and get the draw or lose only with one goal. And you get better value because some of those fortune seekers take the high prices and try to hit 15 to 1 shot with the underdog, and that puts money pressure on those high moneyline prices. But you get very good value quite often with the bad teams with big Asian handicaps and low prices. So take Espanyol and Leganes with handicaps, and when you bet the favorites, there it's better to take a short price instead of giving 1.5 goals or even goal and 3/4 handicap.
Okay, so we should bet Leganes, Villarreal and Espanyol, and to conclude, who should we not bet? Who should we lay?
When we had the Spanish video session on November, you closed the video by asking that Leicester made a big surprise, so can Granada, which was the leader that time, go to the end? And I answered no with one word, and it's not very surprising. We are right. Granada is dropping and dropping and dropping, and they will drop even more, and they are not that obvious team to bet against as they dare. in November and early winter, but still I think we are slightly a team to be opposed, even if the market has now partly learned that Granada is not a champion material team. But I have even stronger lay fancy than Granada, namely Valencia. That has been kind of I think they should make another reality TV from Valencia, as they did from Queen's Park Rangers and Sunderland. That is a real horror story with sacked coaches and bad player policy. I actually have a look that I don't forget something stupidness we have done with Valencia. Yes, he was called Marcelino, the coach they sacked already in September, and they replaced him with the coach called Celades, which was, according to my Spanish expert, a protected catastrophe, as he now have proved to be. And regardless that Valencia is that badly placed, they have not been unlucky. They have performed that badly as well, and market has learned part of it, but partly Valencia still carries their old brand, and they are team to bet against still. Here I take one slight word of warning. I repeat that during the corona break some crisis teams might have set their act together, but normally those teams which get better are teams with good coaches, good management, probably players who are recovering from injuries. And in Valencia there might be some structural problems in the team organization, and as I said, they have looked bad, they have bad metrics, and the market don't turn their back as easily against the name teams, which they turn their back to teams which don't win games, but the bettors don't make any difference between playing badly or being unlucky. So the value betting against Valencia might well remain even after the corona break.